Boy, oh boy, that time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? Weekend's over, guys. Time to back third week of the month. It's quad witching week, and as always, it's time to get back to work tonight. It's Monday evening. It's June the 14th, 2021. My name is Joseph, and as always, welcome back to your nightly newsletter. If you're watching for the first time tonight, it's great to have you with me because my job tonight is to help us find the best trades for tomorrow. That's Tuesday's trading session. I got a great video in store for you guys tonight. Charts are all prepped in the background. As you can see, the S&P's ready. Nasdaq's ready. Gold is ready. Glad to see you are ready right along with us. Boy, oh boy, where do I begin? Lots of great trades on our radar for tomorrow. We had some big moves on the charts today. Big moves today mean ranges, maybe reversals, possibly big continuations for tomorrow. I'm going to break this down to all kinds of great setups for tracking for tomorrow. By the end of this video tonight, you'll know my favorite trades, the trades I want to skip or things to avoid for tomorrow, whether you're trading on your own or you're trading with us tomorrow morning in our trade room. Now, before we jump in and get this video going, though, I just want to make sure to remind you guys, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. I publish this video every evening with my best trade ideas for the following day. I don't want you to miss tomorrow night's video, so make sure you subscribe. When you do, hit the little bell icon so you always get notified every time we publish something new. And if you guys have any questions, don't forget, drop those questions for me in the comments section. I would love to answer any questions that you might have along the way. And if you guys enjoy this video as much as I enjoy making it, do me a big favor, hit that like button, that thumbs up here for us on this video newsletter. But again, don't forget to subscribe, drop those questions and thumbs up if you guys enjoy the video here tonight on this channel. But let's keep this party moving though. Monday evening, Tuesday is right around the corner. We are going into the quad witching week here this week, third week of every 3 months, right? So March, June, September, December, and here we are in one of the most volatile and really one of the most kind of action-filled weeks potentially of the year because we get the Fed announcement later this week. And as you saw today, the markets definitely didn't waste any time giving us some big moves here in the markets here this morning. As you'll notice, everything is bullish right now, right? S&P's bullish, Nasdaq's bullish, gold is bullish. Now I'll tell you, all three of these markets are bullish right now, but I'll tell you, the S&P and the Nasdaq, they're running right into overhead resistance at the top of those channels. The gold, of course, inside of a trading range. Gold's relatively straightforward. I'd like to buy some pullbacks on the gold, buy some breakouts here on the gold. We did have a strong move down in the pre-market, so there is a chance this thing may turn around. I'll talk about how I'll short this market, but right now the bulls have all the control on the yellow metal. Same thing here on the Nasdaq. Now I'll tell you, the Nasdaq and the S&P though, we're obviously bullish right now. I want to keep buying pullbacks. I want to keep buying the dips on the S&P and the Nasdaq right now. But I'll tell you though, again, we're up at the highs of the channel, up at the highs of the range on the S&P. I think there's some great shorts here if we can get the right setups, maybe some reversal patterns, right? Some failure patterns off the high. I would love to short back into that range on the S&P, back into that range on the Nasdaq. But again, right? Let's not be foolish here. We're very, very bullish. So we'll talk about buying pullbacks, getting in as the market continues here, because we do have some levels up overhead here that the market may definitely keep on working its way through to get to tomorrow morning. So we got some long trades, got a bunch of short trades I'm on my radar for tomorrow. Again, I'm going to go over all the details by the end of this video tonight. You'll know exactly which plan of attack is my favorite for tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow though, let's make sure we get on the same page here. First of all, tomorrow's Tuesday. It's not just Tuesday though. We're going into this third week of the month, and last week we had one of the biggest inflation numbers of the year, right? Maybe of the decade if you think about it, right? That inflation report, that CPI report came out. That 5% CPI number was last week. This week we have the FOMC announcement, which a lot of analysts right now are saying it's Jerome Powell, the head of the Fed, his biggest announcement of his career so far, because everyone is obsessed with inflation. Will they taper off rates, right? Will they start to peel back the stimulus? Will they basically slow down this economy to curb inflation, right? So that's coming on Wednesday. So tomorrow's kind of the day before that all happens, right? So I got a lot to look forward to here tomorrow. And you'll notice as we look at the news here for tomorrow. We get the PPI report, the retail sales number bright and early, and then of course we get industrial production, we got business inventories, right, and of course housing later on in the morning. Just a lot of news on the schedule here for tomorrow. So tomorrow definitely is anticipated to be a very busy day as traders kind of finish up business, because again, as we go into Wednesday is a complete question mark right now because of the FOMC announcement at 2 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. Tomorrow morning, you got to be at your desk early tomorrow. You don't want to wait too late to get to your desk tomorrow morning because you get that PPI report. Again, PPI, Producer Price Index. It's an inflation report. And of course, everyone's watching right now inflation and retail sales, right? The retail sales have been crushing it over the past 6 months, but all of that's been fueled by, paycheck injections and, lots of stimulus. So we'll see if the retail sales cool down. They were record-breaking the last few numbers we've seen here. So there definitely are potential for some big market-moving events at 8:30 Eastern Time. And again, industrial production, housing stuff later on in the morning. So definitely excited about tomorrow morning. Big news, of course, kicking us off at 8:30. And, of course, industrial production at 9:15. Now, remember, guys, don't forget, we're not trading the news, right? We trade the reaction to the news. So tomorrow morning, news comes out at 8:30. I'm looking for trades by 8:40, 8:45, right? We're not looking to trade right on top of that news. And we'll talk about the strategies to trade the reaction as we go deeper into tonight's video. And again, don't forget, tomorrow morning, every morning, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we'll be doing this all together in our trade room. I'll put the membership links you guys need right in the description of this YouTube video. So if you want to come out and trade this stuff with us every morning at the opening bell, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, we open up. We'll have a front row seat for that PPI number tomorrow morning. I'll put all the links you guys need to get registered and come out and join us. I'll put all that stuff in the description of this YouTube video. I'll also put a big button for you below me tonight on the trading blog. So grab that button or grab that link, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at the opening bell in our trade room. And again, don't be late tomorrow because we got that big news at 8:30 Eastern Time. All right, we'll worry about the rest of the news later this week as we go deeper into this third week of the month of June. S&P's here, Nasdaq is here, gold is here. Let's jump into the S&P first here. Everything is bullish, but as I mentioned before, I want to buy some pullbacks. I like to buy the dips right now, but I also kind of have my eyes on some shorts here, and you can definitely see the S&P is really, really kind of begging me right now to look for a way to get short. Now, remember, I should put a kind of disclaimer on this week, right? With the Fed on Wednesday, you've got to expect the unexpected here this week in these markets. Stuff we typically see may not come to fruition. We may see buyers buying insanely, right, aggressively at the highs. We may see big reversal. Again, these markets are going to be a little bit of a moving target here this week, I would anticipate, because of such a big announcement coming on Wednesday. Now, that does not mean we're going to shy away from trading tomorrow morning in the trade room. It doesn't mean we can't trade this stuff, but just be aware, right? Stuff we typically see because of the emotions in the market right now. People are trying to kind of position themselves ahead of that Wednesday announcement. We may see some stuff that doesn't normally happen right now. S&P starting off the video here tonight for us first. What's the key takeaway right now? Now, first of all, don't forget we did come out of rollover, right? Rollover, of course, was last Friday. We're now on the 9/21 contract here on the S&P and the Nasdaq, so make sure you get the right contract month. I would assume you do because we rolled on Friday, and of course we're now on end of day on Monday here. The two big takeaways right now are going to be we're basically bullish into a trading range. Right, had that big bull run up into a trading range. Ranges, as you guys probably know, act like magnets, right? So what goes up will come back down. What goes down will usually come right back up. Now, you'll notice we went up and didn't go back down early this morning, right? This failed rotation is a relatively big clue. It's a very bullish clue, right? We should have finished off that rotation all the way to the downside there. That rotation, of course, you'll notice never happened. And so because of that, it definitely puts a very big stamp of approval for the buyers there. But that range until we can break and hold, this range below us continues to act like a magnet, and we have to respect that issue, right? We have to respect that part of the process. The second kind of important component right now is you can see why they didn't move lower, right? They're kind of trying to put this into a spike in channel, right? The spike in channel kind of saved the bears' behinds right here this morning. Again, we should have seen that rotation all the way back down, but as you can see here, if you draw a trend line off this high, off of these lows, it's not that difficult to see, right? There's your channel, and they're buying off the low of that channel. Most importantly, you'll notice where we are right now. We're at the high of that channel right now. Major area of resistance. Up at today's highs, major area of resistance. If I take the size of that spike up, that was the Thursday evening, that was Thursday move spike, and I project that higher here, that gives me that measured move as well. So we have a lot of resistance up here overhead. Now, if we can break through, then we've got some more levels up over 77 level overhead here. Sorry for coughing in your ear there. If we can't keep going higher, you would expect now that big pendulum to swing back in the opposite direction, right? And that's where I think we have some really good opportunities here for tomorrow. So we know the range below us acts as a magnet. We know we're very bullish though, right? So we don't want to go forcing trades. We can definitely trade breakouts here, but we have to see some proof these buyers can show us, right? Can you hold above these highs? Can you break through this measured move? I definitely am open-minded to being a buyer, but right now it looks like the easier money here is on the short side. Now, you might notice here that weekend gap right in the middle. What is that? That is the closing price of last Friday. Anytime there's a big open gap between last Friday's close and Sunday evening's open, right? We close on Friday at 5 Eastern time, open up on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. I know it seems a bit backwards, but that's the way it works, right? So Friday's close is at 36, right? Sunday's open, Sunday 6 p.m. open, right? Opens up a bit higher, that gap. Now, I do understand that gap has been filled. In fact, it's been filled a couple times, right? Been retested a couple times. But mark my word, that weekend gap has a funny way of becoming a magnet for the rest of the week. So we'll definitely be watching that closely here as we go throughout the rest of the week. Tomorrow, that weekend gap acts as a magnet going back down into that trading range. So if I could choose my favorite trades for tomorrow, what would my favorite trades be? I would love to short these highs right now. The only problem we have is that we're too bullish. And so what I'll do is I'll look for a failure pattern. Specifically, because we're counter trend, trying to get short, I'll look for what I call a nested failure, which is basically where the buyers try once, try twice. Once those buyers try twice, then we know where their stops are, and we can basically use those stops as fuel. Right? So if once those buyers try a few times up here, okay, just park that short, below that low, and we're selling into stop losses. Again, it's a failure pattern. Now, I would normally, if this is a bearish market, I would normally look for just a one try, right? But because, again, we're counter trend right now, you want to see the buyers try twice. Then I can sell short down into that trading range. I also like to use, with those failures, into first channel pullback. So one kind of follow-up trade there would be if those buyers can, right, try it a few times, right, I can sell into those stop losses. Then I like to look for that first pullback, right, down, up, go. Look for that first pullback right off the high of that channel. Okay, so one of my favorite trades for tomorrow will be a failure off the highs into a channel combination running back down again. Again, I do want these buyers to try twice because it is a counter trend failure. And then again, I'm looking for entries off the high of that channel. Now, talk about shorting off the high of that channel. This is a 6,000 tick chart right now. I'm not going to get short off a 6,000 tick chart off the top of that channel. What I'll do is I'll drill down to like a 1,000 tick chart, and I'll find one of my entry patterns I like to use. My favorites are usually traps and failures off of that high. Now, I'm not going to go into all the small details of, how I find the channel and how I trigger the entry in this video, but I will talk all about all the smaller details of how I find the channels, how I find the entries, how I manage the position, resistance. I cover all of that in our quick start trading course linked up in the upper right-hand corner. So if you're brand new at this, or maybe you just haven't seen consistent results yet, I'll put a little pop-up there for you guys. It's free to register. Our quick start trading course will kind of give you a quick start to give you all the charts to use, all the indicators to use, how to find the levels of support and resistance, and most importantly, how to trigger the entries. You're going to love that video course, so grab that link. I'll also put a link for you guys, again, in the description of the YouTube video. So one of my favorites is to short right off the high. Now, we may not get that full failure, right? We may not get that failure. Sometimes what happens is you get something like this, where the market runs up and then simply turns around, right? If it does turn around, look for the 1, 2, 3 move, mark up that high, mark up that low, mark up that low, mark up that high, it's a Monday, right? And short that first pullback. Okay. Again, we may not get that failure, right? We may not get the buyers going once, going twice. We may not get that short. If the market simply takes off the downside, I can't just simply sell that first pullback, because again, we're a little too bullish just to get short too aggressively. But I can definitely short that first pullback off the high of that channel, right? And again, you're not going to trade it off this 6,000 tick chart, drill down. And again, inside the quick start course, you'll learn more about the specific entry techniques I'll use to short off that high. Now, this is where stuff gets fun, because you can now measure the amount above, measure the amount below, and that's where the target's going to be on the other side of that range. Now, what I'll do is I won't be greedy, right? I'll put a target at the low of that move and then try to leave the runner down to that big pendulum swing. That's why I like the idea of the sell side here. But again, because we're so bullish, you got to be careful, right? Got to be patient and respect momentum here for those bulls. Now, how do I buy this market, right? So now we've talked about how I like to short this thing. How do we buy this thing? It's not going to be easy, because if we get a pullback right now, if we pull all the way back here, that momentum will be very, very bearish, right? In fact, if we pull back all the way going lower here, guys like me are looking for traps above those highs, right? If we make it all the way back to the low of that channel, it's such a big move down, right? Look back here. Right, see what happened? Market turns around, that lower low in price, and you can see professionals are waiting there to sell traps, right? That is exactly what I'll be looking for here if that market pulls back off the high. So one more kind of bonus short, right, as we go, right? We call these trap setups, right? Strong move down, lower low in price, trap high, it'll be just above the moving average there. Again, you can see an example of it right back there, right? So as we pull back here, I really don't want to buy off the low of this channel. Okay, so how do we buy it? Well, I could buy a breakout, right? I could buy a breakout up here. A breakout or a new range would really be probably the best environment here. What would be really great is if we could see a strong move up, get through this measured move, see a higher high in price, and then start looking for either a trap entry below that low, which would probably the best possible scenario, right? Trap entry below that low, or let's say, for example, it pulls back and it blasts going higher here. I can measure that, right? That high, that low. And again, right, I'm not going to blindly buy the low of this. I'll look for those bear trap entries, right? Those failure entries that I talk about in the quick start trading course, right? In the upper right-hand corner there, right? So I'll definitely like those, but I'm definitely not interested in buying right here, right? Top of this range up here. Again, can we go up, shallow pullback, higher high, trap low, right? Great entry there. In fact, maybe we get lucky, we get used top of that channel, right? Or again, do we just simply pull back? Do the buyers hold that pullback? 1, 2, 3 breakout, right? 1, 2, 3 breakout, mark that high, mark that low, and we're buying the first pullback, right, off the low of that channel. And again, you guys know where my targets are, right, waiting overhead. One thing I would definitely keep your eyes on, because we have this measured move up here, is keep your eyes on a range up here. Let's say, for example, right, we take out the measured move, we see a trading range going on, right? Trading ranges act like magnets. And it's very common lately where we'll go from one range and we'll break out to a new range. If we do break out to a new range, that range now becomes the magnet. What do we do in a range-bound market with a bull bias to it? We find support levels below the range, and we combine those support levels with failure patterns, right? We don't just buy the low here. We wait for the price to pull back. We wait for sellers, in this case, to try to get short. It looks like this. Wait for sellers, try to get short, and we literally buy right into those stop losses, right? And again, those failures oftentimes turn into pullback combinations. You'll learn all that stuff in the Quick Start course, right? So failures off of that low if we start, right? If we start going sideways. Now, there are a lot of other kind of opportunities and variations of this, but unfortunately, I can't cover everything in this video. We'd be here all evening here. The video is already long enough, so I'll fill in any missing pieces tomorrow morning in our trade room, but this will give you a good kind of starting point here. Again, if you're trading on your own tomorrow, or if you're joining us tomorrow morning in our trade room. Let's keep going. So S&P, again, love the short side, don't mind the buy side, but I got to be careful on the buy side. How about some Nasdaq here coming up next? Nasdaq is in a similar situation, but I'll tell you, the Nasdaq's a lot more bullish, you can see, right? Nasdaq's a lot more bullish here, right, than the S&P is. The S&P had that big range below. The Nasdaq does as well. But you can definitely see, though, this move higher here has a lot more punch to it than the S&P does. Now, would I be opposed to getting short? Hell no, right? Would love to sell this thing short. That range down there, acting as a magnet with that weekend gap, acting as a magnet, right? So I would love to sell short, but obviously I have to stay patient for a counter trend reversal right off of that high. The key takeaway right now in the NASDAQ is we're a spiking channel. We're a spiking channel. Spiking channel, right? Spike up into a channel. Most spiking channels are going to give us, right, one, two, three legs here. So, wouldn't be surprised if we see a pullback and one more leg going higher here. I've got that next measured move overhead up there at 14,200. And of course, from there, 14,302 to 14,367 are some levels overhead. We already know the range below us is the magnet, right, waiting down below us. So how do we trade this thing right now? Again, bulls have control, right? Bulls have control. If I want to be a buyer on this, well, first of all, how would I short off the high right now? Right? How would I short this thing off the high? Very patiently, right? Again, I would always look for a failure pattern or a reversal pattern. It's a counter trend failure, so you'd want to wait for the buyers to try twice, right? Once, twice, and then one little trick I like to use is look for traps right above that high. A trap above that high will be great. A trend line off that high will be great. Remember, all the stops are sitting right below that low, right? So the goal is to get short into those stop losses, right? Maybe it's a trap high, maybe it's a just simply selling into those stops. I'll cover those small details tomorrow morning in the trade room, right? As far as what we get, I cover the basics of this stuff again in that Quick Start trading course I mentioned in the upper right-hand corner. Grab that new channel and then look for that short, right, off of that high. This is a great trade, right? That'd be a great trade. Again, let the buyers try twice up here, right, off the trend line into stop losses. And then again, right, we're drilling down, looking for bull traps, looking for buyer failure setups to sell short at the top of that channel, and you'll learn those details in the Quick Start course. All right, guys, so we got that all covered there. That's a nice, easy way to short it. If we don't get that failure, maybe all we get is that deep pullback, right? Bears hold it, and they run lower. Right? Mark up that low, mark up that high. First test is always the best test, right? 1, 2, 3 reversal. We then sell that first pullback, right? My favorite entries there are trap entries, right? What will happen a lot of times is mark comes down, little swing high right there. We can draw that channel, right? I can mark up that prior swing, right? Little trap into failure, into pullback, right? Trap, failure, pullback combination. I cover all those 3 entry triggers in the video course, right? I keep mentioning linked up in the upper right-hand corner. So got a lot of great potential shorting off of that high here. As I mentioned earlier, right, if the market makes a nosedive running lower, do not be afraid to go traps now, right? Do not be afraid to go traps up here. If it really dumps off the high, right, you get that nice strong push down, shallow pullback, lower low in price, traps, baby. Absolutely. And then obviously that has potential to be a very big move down, right? Measure the amount above, amount below. You could really get that momentum to swing there. So those would be some very delightful shorts off the highs here. But again, we're not bearish right now. How do we buy this market? An easy way to buy this market right now is to wait for this thing to come down to the low of that channel. Okay, again, we've got a very strong move going higher here. Anytime we see a strong move up, right, we should see a retest of that high here, right? Anytime we see a strong move in one direction, we should see a follow-up leg, right? Now, we'll see what happens overnight here, but, pending any, any unforeseen big moves overnight here, if I can get that pullback, I can easily get those bears to come in, try to get short, and I can use those failure into pullback combinations off the low of that channel, right? It's a failure pattern into pullback pattern. Again, you're simply buying into stop losses off the low of that channel, and you're looking for that first pullback to run this thing back up, right? To retest the high, right? So you're buying the pullback effectively off the low of that channel. We're not simply buying a pullback, right? We're getting under the moving average. We're trapping in those bears. We're then using the momentum going higher to buy that pullback, right, as we go here. And then, if the mark keeps on grinding higher, right? If we keep on going higher here, I have no problem getting aggressive, but I have to see some proof that we want to keep going, because again, we're sitting right at the highs, right, of this channel right now. So I don't want to just buy, for example, I wouldn't want to buy this pullback, right? That pullback's not going to be very reliable. However, if they do, let's say, hold that pullback and make a run higher here, we know where the measured move is. We know where they're trying to get to. So if they do hold the pullback and go higher, now mark that high, mark that low, and I want that first test, right? I want that first pullback, right? I'm looking for bear trap entries, failure entries. Failures oftentimes turn into pullback combinations. Again, this is a 4,000 tick chart. I'll drill down to like an 800 tick chart and find those entries, right, tomorrow morning in our trade room. And again, I cover the entry patterns in that quick start video course I keep mentioning, right, like a broken record here. So definitely grab that to learn more about those entry patterns. So we're good to go there as the market goes higher. Or let's say, for example here, right, strong jump up in the overnight, moving average comes up, shallow pullback, higher high in price, right, traps, baby. I would have no problem with that trap high up here, but they have to show us they want more, right? They got to show us they want more right now. We know where the market wants to go, right? Trending market, trends want to get measured moves. I've got a strong move up already. Going to give me a shallow pullback, a higher high in price, little trap low there. Even better, could I add a trend line off that high, a trend line off that low? I mean, come on, right? Isn't much better than that. That's a great long setup as we go higher here to try to take out that 14,120 area, that measured move, and possibly, right, even more here. And then, of course, like I mentioned on the S&P, don't be surprised if we see the mark go from one range, breakout, into a new range. We have the FOMC announcement this week, lots of big news this week here. So, don't be surprised here if we go sideways here. If we start seeing this thing go sideways here overnight, what do? You find that range, you find support levels below the range, and we combine those support levels with what? With those failure patterns, right? Those failures. Failures are your bread and butter. All you're doing when a failure pattern is, you're not trying to pick the bottom, right? Don't waste your time trying to pick tops and bottoms. Wait for reversals, or in this case, wait for failures, right? I am trying to pick a bottom on this, but I don't want to get in too early. I want to wait for those bears to try to sell short, and then use those stop losses, right? Use those stop losses as fuel for that run, right? For that run going higher. That'd be a great trade too, right? That'd be a great trade too. There are a lot of variations I can think of here as we go higher. For example, maybe this turns into a spiking channel, right? And maybe we end up going channeling out here right now. Get that pullback, right? Maybe it turns into a new spike in channel here. New spike in channels are notorious for traps, right? So traps below prior swings. These will oftentimes go trap, right, into failure. So, as you can see, I mean, I can break this down into a lot of smaller pieces here: traps, failures, pullbacks. Off of that low here. So we'll see how this next few hours go. And again, tomorrow, we'll do it all together tomorrow morning in our trade room there. Again, I would love to sell it short, though. I'm not going to lie. I would love to sell this thing short here, right? Especially with that kind of overshoot at the top of this channel, with that weekend gap below us, the range below us. But again, you know me. I'm going to wait for that. I'm going to wait for either that failure, or I'm going to wait for that reversal and then sell it short. I'm not going to pick tops. Not in a market like this right now, where we know a lot of people, again, are kind of blindly trading what they think the Fed will do on Wednesday right now. So we'll see what happens here. Again, we'll love to sell it short, but I will not back away from getting aggressive if this thing keeps going higher here on the way to that measured move. How about some gold here right now? Let's wrap this up with gold. Gold's an interesting market here as we go into tomorrow. Now, you probably noticed, right, that big move down in the pre-market. This is what I mean when I say the markets are going to do stuff they wouldn't normally do right now, because people are going to be thinking about, okay, the Fed, will they raise rates? They're probably not going to raise rates. What they probably will do, though, is start to leave clues of when the next or when the first rate hike might be triggered. And that's probably what people are kind of anticipating, right now. They saw the CPI report last week, right? We're going to get the PPI number here this week, tomorrow. So, gold, don't be surprised if gold is a little bit of a jumpy one over the next, 24, 48 hours here, because you got that big FOMC announcement on Wednesday, and you got the PPI report, right, inflation report tomorrow as well. What's the key takeaway right now on the gold here? The key takeaway is there's no doubt about that big move down, but from what I can see, they took their measured move and they got that 1, 2, 3 reversal off that low. Now, you might be thinking right now, well, Joe, isn't this a really strong move down? And didn't you just say anytime we have a strong move down or a strong move in one direction, didn't you say the odds are pretty good we retest that level? You're absolutely right. Unless, of course, we see a range, right? Ranges are basically the market's way of saying this is the price we like, right? So when I see a range, that's why ranges are magnets, right? Ranges don't just happen because of nothing. Ranges tell us this is the price this market likes. So what might have happened this morning is the market may have, got some sand right in its shorts. It may have been a bit irritated, had a bit of a breakdown, and said, you know what? We may have overdone this. Let's finish it up right here. It's not, you'll notice, it's a little bit above the halfway point, right? So we're obviously more bullish than bearish right now, but I'm definitely not blind. You can definitely see that big bear move down, and I'm certainly willing to sell short here if I start to see some evidence that this range is breaking down. But I'll tell you right now, the range is the big clue here for me. The range is the big clue here for me right now. That range will act as a magnet. Now, if we're bullish and we're range bound, what do? We find support levels below the range, and what do? We combine those support levels with an entry pattern, right? My kind of favorite entry pattern, which I cover in the Quick Start video course, right? My favorite entry pattern is a failure. So that's kind of what I would like to get right now. I'd like to get that failure off of that low, right? Failure, pullback combination, and that run higher. But there's a couple things I want to make sure you guys are kind of aware of on this, right? So again, we're trending higher right now. I'd like to be a buyer on this. I'd love to buy a failure, but the one thing you got to be careful of is if we end up going up and then coming crashing back down. If we go up first and then come crashing back down, this opens the door wide open now for the sellers. Okay, so just kind of want to give you that breakdown first of all. First of all, if I can get down here, again, we have a very strong move. We've seen no traps, right? No traps Okay, I mean, look at this, right? There was literally no traps, right? No trap, no trap, no trap, no trap, no trap. But when I say trap, I mean we never got above a prior swing. Same thing going higher here, right? No trap yet. They're all higher highs, no trap here yet. If I can get underneath that low, I'd love to get a little bit aggressive and buy that low. So if I can get down to that low here, get down to that support area here, I'd love to get, again, that failure pattern, right, into pullback combination. Now, remember, the pullback, you want to try to get that pullback before you get back inside that range. So just be careful. The pullback may not be easy if it's inside that range tomorrow. We'll know more tomorrow morning once we get there in the trade room. Again, failure pattern into pullback. Where's my target? Yeah, back up to retest the high. Okay, that's a pretty easy setup there off of that low. And you're going to see a lot of these failure into pullback combinations. I go into a lot more detail in our quick start trading course linked up there in the upper right-hand corner. Now, the one thing you got to be careful about is if we go higher and then pull back. If we go higher and then pull back, now momentum is a lot stronger here for the bears. I do still want to be buying this, but I've got to give the bears the benefit of the doubt now. I'll let them try twice, right? Let those bears try once, let them try twice. It's the same basic idea, right? Failure into pullback and back up to retest the high. It's just in this example, though, that momentum turn is really, really important. All right, which also leads me into how I can sell it short as we go lower here. So let's say, for example, right, we do end up running up and then running back lower here. This is exactly where you can start looking for those traps, right? Strong move down, shallow pullback, lower low, traps, right? That is a really good setup right there and one of my favorites in our trade room. Again, there's a very small but very big difference in this. If I pull back and I get bears trying once, bears trying twice, what don't I have? I don't have a lower low in price. Okay, bears are trying once, bears are trying twice, right? Draw that trend line, buy into those stop loss. Right? That's a failure pattern right there, right? It's a beautiful failure setup off of that low. Support level, right? Channel level, bullish momentum, right? Great looking setup there. However, if we jump higher here and then run lower, same location, but now we go shallow pullback, lower low in price. That is not the same situation now. Now you know that bears are going to be waiting to get short above that high here. Okay, that'd be a great short there. And don't forget, extra bonus points, mark up that low, mark up that high. Can I get a short off the top of a channel? Oh my goodness, right? Just make it easy on us buyers. Just give us the money, right? That's a great short right there if I can get that channel coming down, right? So great opportunity there. But again, watch that pattern. And obviously tomorrow morning, I'll make sure you're doing it the right way tomorrow morning in the trade room. That's a great one there. Or we get that strong run down. The bears hold the pullback. They jump off the moving average, right? That's a 1, 2, 3 reversal. I'm marking up that low. I'm marking up that high. And I want that short. The first test is always the best test. Now, what you have to be careful with as the market rolls lower like this is you do not want to be trading inside that area down there. Okay, that is a big time support area. You're not going to want to sell that close to that low. So you got to make sure you're getting that bull trap, that buyer failure entry, those entry triggers we talk about in our quick start trading course. You want to get that short off the high of that channel before we get into that rectangle right down below. Okay? If things really tumble, let's say for example we really tumble, right, running lower here. This might be a fluke, right? This little bounce here might be a fluke. Maybe it rolls lower here. Okay? Strong move down. Shallow pullback, lower low, traps, right? So it's not difficult to find shorts, right, coming off that high, on the way down here. But the problem is you can't just sell it as it goes lower, right? That's the hard part right now. You can't just sell it short as it goes lower because we're so bullish and that range is a magnet. All right, guys? How do we trade this thing as it goes higher right now? Can I buy breakouts? Absolutely I can. If there's one market you can get aggressive going higher, it's this market because there's a big bullseye right back at that, 79, 80 high here. And I'll tell you, this thing could really whip. If this thing kicks back in the opposite direction, this thing could really whip, right? Obviously, that high from today, the measured move, I'm marking off that leg to that leg. I'm kind of anticipating that measured move right now. But it's not difficult to see that big range over there. That big range up there is a magnet overhead here. So I'll tell you again, if there's one market you can be aggressive to the upside right now, it is definitely gold. The S&P and the Nasdaq, they're pushing all-time highs. They're up at resistance. Gold's got a lot of space above. And again, because of that big move down, this is all short squeeze, right? This is all short covering rally territory here. So definitely excited for gold tomorrow. Now, as we go higher on gold, though, what are the best ways to trade it? The range is still a magnet. So we got to respect that range, right? As you can see, you can't just buy it as it goes higher when that range magnet is right below you. How do we buy a breakout? There are two basic breakouts I like to use. One is the 2-try breakout, which is basically a strong move up, a shallow pullback off the moving average, and a quick pullback right below that prior low. It's a trap entry, okay? Now, a lot of folks ask me, well, what if we don't get that pullback right away? Well, then that's when you use a 1, 2, 3 breakout pattern, right? 1, 2, 3 breakout, right? So second pattern is 1, 2, 3 breakout. Mark that high, mark that low. Again, I call it a 1, 2, 3 breakout because it's 1, 2, 3, right? There's not much fancy about how I trade, right? I just trade what works. I'm not trying to be overcomplicated. I just want to make sure I'm going with momentum. I want to break free of this range. If I can get that 1, 2 go, right? I'm not going to chase after it. That's a rookie's mistake. Wait for that first pullback. You'll get it, right? You'll get it. That first pullback, always again, I'm looking for trap entries, looking for failure entries off the low of that channel, right? So 1, 2, 3 breakout, 2-try breakout. Again, I think this measured move will be a great kind of long-term target. Do we see a deep pullback, right? Do we get that deep pullback to buy? It's a little bit lower, right? Does this keep on going, right? If that's the case, right, it'll be a little bit higher. So, we're kind of all waiting to see right now kind of, what the pullback will look like, and we'll know that measured move there from there. But again, should be pretty easy magnet here for the buyers unless something drastic happens that shakes this thing into the bear's hands overnight. That 1880 area should be a pretty easy objective there for those buyers if we can get this thing to keep on going higher here. All right, guys. So again, I'm sure I covered a lot in this video. I'm sure there's something I probably missed here tonight. There's all kinds of gray area in the business of trading. So tomorrow morning, I'll make sure we go over all the smaller details. Definitely grab that quick start trading course I keep talking about. Again, it's linked up in the upper right-hand corner. And don't forget, tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, I want to see you there, right there with us. 8 o'clock Eastern time, Monday through Friday. We'll be here all week, this quadruple witching week, and a big week ahead of us here. We had a great day today. We'll have some more good days the rest of the week here. I am certain of it. You can grab all the membership links you guys want. Get registered. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning in the trade room. Don't be afraid to call the office. I'm always here if you guys have any questions. We got live chat on the left, live chat on the right. Drop those comments in the comment section if you got them. And boy, great to be with you guys once again here for the third week of June. Hope you learned a bunch in this video. Hope you use it to earn a bunch tomorrow in your own trading. And of course, I hope to see you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock Eastern time as a brand new member in our trade room. Guys, have a great rest of your evening out there. My name is Joseph. Be well out there. Be nice to each other, will ya? And be here next time. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye for now.